morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. It's a beautiful day. You know, it's when we do things like this that we're able to join together with the American Cancer Society with this beautiful mission to save lives, to celebrate life, and to continue on with the fight to a world without cancer. And this should be an important mission for everyone because the scary statistics remain that 1 in 3 Americans will be diagnosed with a cancer at some point in their lifetime. And as all of us here know far too well, that could be you or someone that you love. This overwhelming statistics this year that came out by ACS just for our country alone indicate that on 1.7 million occasions, a doctor will walk into a room and give someone the horrible news that they have this dreaded disease. In our country alone this year, over 660,000 people will lose their lives to this disease, and that equates to 1,660 people, including today, that will end their fight with this disease. So thank you so much for coming out, keeping the spotlight on this issue for awareness, and also providing the resources that help the American Cancer Society with its crucial research, its education and prevention information, and its very important patient information programs. I've attended a lot of these events through the years, and my wife, Demi, who's sitting right there, and my 6-year-old son. She works with the American Cancer Society, and you know, before, it was just a great occasion to get together with people, and cancer, you know, I knew it was awful and I didn't want it, but it really didn't hit home to me until July of 2017. And now when I attend these events, it takes on a whole new meaning, because now I stand before you not only as someone who wants to continue on with this fight against this awful disease, but I now stand before you as someone who has heard the words, "You have stage 4 cancer," someone who has fought for my life on the battlefield of surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, and now someone who thankfully and humbly before God stands here in remission and cancer-free. My journey into the cancer world started in the summer of July of 2017. And I was shaving one morning, I felt fine, and I noticed a little tiny lump in a lymph node area in my neck. I didn't think too much about it at the time because I was working out 6 times a week, I felt great. There was no reason for me to be concerned, except I'm a hypochondriac, and I knew that that was my lymph node area, so I did want to go to the doctor to get it checked out. Thank God that decision saved my life, because by the time I went in, the doctors told me that that was actually the cancer that had spread to my lymph nodes, and it had been growing in my neck for probably 1 to 2 years, and I had no idea. So if any of you notice anything on your body, even if you feel great, you can be fine and feel fine and be walking around with stage 4 cancer. So definitely go to the doctor if you notice anything like that, especially lumps in any part of your body. It just might save your life. After they made the diagnosis for me, there's a series of long, awful needles pulling my tongue out of my throat. You'd be amazed how far your tongue can stretch when you're awake. And carving pieces of my tongue and my throat. Kind of barbaric for today's modern medicine world, but the hunt was on to try to find the primary source of my cancer. They never did find it, so I was given a diagnosis of stage 4 squamous cell cancer of the throat, primary unknown. And what that meant was after my surgery, I then underwent 7 weeks of radiation, Monday through Friday, high intensity radiation with the dreaded mask. If you've ever talked to anyone who's ever gone through head and neck cancer, they give you a form-fitting mask over your face, down to your shoulders, they screw you down to a table, and then for about 15 minutes you have the radiation machine deliver that high intensity radiation. And because they couldn't find my primary source, I basically got blasted anywhere, because the doctor said if I skip one area, that could be where the cancer is, and we don't want to do that. So it was a pretty brutal journey. In addition to the radiation, they also gave me the super chemo called cisplatin, 8-hour doses at the beginning, at the middle, at the end. And as my doctor said, we basically take you down as low as we can, hopefully to get rid of the cancer and most importantly, keep it from ever coming back. So during that journey, it was awful. Just the incredible fatigue, the nausea. I lost my sense of taste. Many of my salivary glands were obliterated due to the radiation, so I developed dry mouth. And I think probably one of the worst things was just the pain from the radiation, swelling all the tissue all around my head till I really couldn't go anywhere. And then also all the sores that developed. So many sores opened up in my tongue, my inside of my mouth and my throat, that eventually it became too painful to swallow my own spit. And so they had to surgically install a stomach or a feeding tube into my stomach, which basically kept me alive for 2 months because I couldn't swallow anything. And at the end of that journey, I remember, I was in the hospital for probably a week at the very end when I hit my lowest. I had lost 75 pounds. And I came home, and if any of you know that feeling, if you've been in a hospital for a while, the most amazing thing is when you come home and you get that first shower. Just unbelievable feeling, right? And so I've got the water warming up in the bathroom, steam's kind of on the mirror, and I checked myself out in the mirror. I was standing there, but it just hit me because it wasn't me. I had the stomach tube hanging out. I felt horrible. I was just emaciated from the whole thing, and I went to those moments where all of you in the purple shirts, I know you've been from time to time, where there's some dark places that you can go to, and you can get sucked in there and stay there. But as I was starting to feel sorry for myself, and what's the point, and this and that, it hit me. Come on, what are you talking about? What's the point? I'm alive. And I had finished that brutal journey, and I had survived that. And so many of my brothers and sisters and friends, even the year before, who we had buried from cancer and left 3 kids behind, she would have traded places with me in a second just to have another day to kiss her husband and tell her kids that she loved them. And so, it's the point where you can cue the Rocky music. It just became about living, getting back to life, being thankful and appreciative for every single second that I had. And just, people said, oh, you were so strong and this and that. And I appreciated this sentiment, but I never looked at it that way. There's a beautiful saying in the cancer world that says, of course I've said this 100 times and now I forgot it. You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice that you have, right? They simply just tell you this is what you got to do to live, and so you do it. And then it became every day just trying to get through that journey and trying to feel better, and slowly things started to come back. And now it's one of the reasons I like to get out there today is because, I had stage 4 cancer, but look at me, I'm alive. That tube is gone, and I feel fantastic. And yes, of course, there's side effects that are with me for the rest of my life, affecting me right now. But in the bigger picture, it's not about what cancer took away from me that counts. What matters is what I do with my life with what I have left. And what I want to do is live and appreciate every second and enjoy my family. And I also want to become involved. I mean, one of the bracelets I wear says, "No one fights alone." And I know that on my journey, there were so many people that helped me, so many wonderful people with the prayers of support that were there for me. And now I'm part of this army of 15 million strong in America alone that gets to wear this purple shirt and gets to come back out here and be a part of this journey as we try to help each other. Because the sad reality is at some point, cancer is going to touch your life. It's either going to be you or it's going to be someone that you love. And so this is an important, huge journey for all of us. And part of my mission is because of my particular cancer. It was due to HPV, the human papillomavirus. And you might have seen some of the commercials around right now. And one of the campaigns that American Cancer Society has going on a national basis is the HPV vaccination campaign. And so part of my job here is to get out there and provide some awareness. The HPV virus is very common. The CDC says that 80%, if not 90%, according to some researchers, estimates that Americans, 80 to 90%, will have the HPV virus at some point in their lifetime. Most of us don't ever think about that. It's not something that doctors really report. Women can be screened for it, but men cannot be tested for that. For us, unfortunately, if you find out that you have it, it's usually because you've been given a cancer diagnosis. There's 14 million new infections of HPV every single year, and most of those infections are between the ages of 15 and 24 years old. And at any point in time in America, there's more than 79 million people that are walking around with that virus in their body, and they don't even know it. That's the crazy thing about HPV. Most of the time, thankfully, your body will fight it off and will get rid of it, and you won't even know that you had it. But unfortunately, at alarmingly increasing numbers, it is starting to turn into cancer, and that's why you see these commercials going on. I don't know if you saw the one with a kid in college who's going back in time, and he ends with, "You didn't know, Mom, did you? You didn't know, Dad, did you?" Because they're talking about the vaccine that's available for our youth to hopefully prevent them from getting that virus that can turn into cancer later on. The scary thing is that virus can stay dormant in your body for 20 to 30 years before it turns into something ugly like cancer. So you could have an intimate relationship when you're 18 years old and then be like me and be, middle-aged, married, 2 kids, and all of a sudden, bam, I have cancer from something that happened decades ago. So the crazy thing about that vaccine is that in order for it to be effective, you have to have the vaccine before you're exposed. And that's why you hear the messaging right now about our youth. The target age is 11 to 12 years old to get our youth vaccinated. Not only because hopefully they haven't been exposed yet with intimate relations, but also because they only have to get 2 shots. Their immune system is very well equipped to handle it at that age, and that makes it most effective. Now, you can get that vaccine later, teenagers, college. Of course, they did just recently extend it out to the age of 45 that you can get it. But those are individual impact cases if you get that. In order for it to have a societal impact so that it doesn't spread, we have to get the current vaccination rates that are around 55%. We've got to get them up to 85%. And then it'll be something like polio. It'll be gone. I mean, could you imagine that? HPV causes 6 specific types of cancer. Probably the one that you most know is cervical cancer, right? Over 90% of cervical cancer cases are caused by HPV. If we get those vaccination rates up to 85%, cervical cancer's gone. Can you imagine that? I mean, think about it. We talk about let's stand up to cancer, let's do this, let's do that, and get rid of cancer. This is that one area where we can make an immediate impact and actually beat cancer and get rid of it. So if you can, if you have your, I see young kids here today, you have nieces, nephews, grandkids, whatever it is, get that message out there because it's all about exposure. Once you're exposed, the vaccine doesn't work. So please talk to your pediatricians. See if that vaccine is right for your kids and your family. It is safe. More than 270 million doses in over 70 countries. It's been 109 studies in over 6 countries involving 2.5 million people, which lead the American Cancer Society to conclude that that vaccine is extremely safe. And so with this, I'll close, ladies and gentlemen. We never know what life is going to bring us, right? It doesn't have to be cancer. It could be difficult things in your life that you go through. But I would say it's all about having not a microscope view, where that's all that we think about, but more pulling back to a 35,000-foot view. Because if we think about our problems and we focus in on them, if my hand is that problem and all of you guys are my beautiful blessings, as long as my hand is like this and I see my blessings, then my life is in perspective. I can still be appreciative and thankful. But the more I focus in on that problem, if that's all that I see, then what is my life? It's pretty dark. So I would encourage you all, no matter what life brings your way, focus on the beauty that's around us. See the blessings and the amazing, wonderful world that we live in. Tell your loved ones that you love them and enjoy this beautiful day. And thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for all of your efforts. Have a wonderful day.